Apparently he thinks it's a Zoom meeting. We didn't set up a Zoom meeting with him. I'm not sure where
Yeah, I didn't say.
he got that.
He wanted to be able to speak to the,
There is a lot, but I've just heard a lot more in
Oh,
the 5
really?
minutes since I just showed up here, so,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, well,
I'm all ears.
Well,
It is 5 o'clock, so.
no, it is fun. It is fun.
Is it 5?
Mm,
Okay. Yep.
You were on your... Welcome, everyone. I'm Tyler Ward. This is our select board meeting for tonight. Bonnie Tucker, Bill Kennedy, fellow select board members, Nicole McSayer, town administrator, and Justine Hansen at the end of the table there. We have a short agenda this evening. We'll discuss, we are on air, by the way, discuss a RC 79D, discuss the merits of renewing the barn preservation easement on some properties of the Four Winds Farm. And then if that finalizes itself before 5:30, we'll join the budget committee for an overview of our budget season we've had these past few months. Let's see. Oh, and we have members of the Heritage Commission here, maybe waiting on us. Anything else to add?
we go.
Oh, there it is. Gretchen Ray, our assessing department advocate, will maybe bring us up to speed on what's going on with We had this in our packet. It was a rather large assemblage of documents. Some that is stuff, right?
Some was duplicate too.
Yep.
So there's 2 separate properties, which is why you see some duplicates. So it's a
Right.
complete file for each property. Gretchen, I don't know if there's anything you want to say about it.
did you want to link Ian into a Zoom?
We don't have a Zoom set up. We don't do Zoom meetings unless we have it arranged in advance.
Ah,
So
gotcha, okay.
We weren't aware that he was
Okay.
requesting a Zoom.
Okay, okay. I'll see if I can get him on the phone, see if he'll just go out loud. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, if he's,
Because he's not in the area, so.
wasn't aware of that.
Who are we waiting for?
The property owner.
One of the owners.
Anybody have anything fun to
He
share?
just emailed me a couple minutes ago from
Can
what
I
I
share
sent
something?
him
Can I share something?
Please.
when I told
We're
him.
planning a party to celebrate the renovation of the Chicory piano,
Oh, good.
which will be on April 19th, a Sunday for each. The piano went through extensive, careful, heartfelt renovations, and it was gifted to the town upon the town hall's opening, 1918, and has been played since then. Lots of concerts and many, I think over 60 years, Bob McQuillan played it for contra dances held in the town hall. So it's a big moment. We're going to have a concert to start with to bring out different elements of the sound of the piano, and then we're going to follow that with a contra dance. So if anyone is interested in the Chicory piano, April 19th.
What time?
I believe in the afternoon.
Ian, can you hear us?
Yes, hi everyone, it's Ian Spencer.
Hi, Ian. Thanks for joining us. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing pursuant to RSA 79D to discuss the merits of renewing the barn preservation easement on property located at 140 Four Winds Farm Road. One or two public hearings.
It's that you can do both at the same time.
Okay.
We're going to do them concurrently.
All right, and also the property located at 145 Four Winds Farm Road. Need a motion?
Second?
Seconded, all those in favor? Okay, we have our public hearing started. Ian, would you like to present what you have for us? We saw a large packet of information.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Please just let me know when my time is up. I'll try to be brief.
Sure, we have till 5:30. So.
I am renewing, I'm attempting to renew the discretionary easement. It's an easement that we held before that my mother began, and my brother, when he took over after Deputy and Rick's death, my brother reapplied, and it's been brought to my attention that it ran its course of 10 years, and I'm trying to renew it. The basis for my renewal in the packets, I cover the history of the two spaces. There are two barn complexes across from each other. One is the old Longley family barn. Nothing has really changed in that barn since the last two easements. It's been preserved for many years by my family. And across the street, that's 140 across the street from 145, is a large apple storage barn, which was originally a barn complex for a dairy, which was my great-great-uncle Edward Burnett. And that's how my family sort of segued, is both sides of the family had stake in that. Both of these structures are relatively unaltered, even though they've changed uses over the time. In addition, there are a series of trails to which the public's welcome to enjoy that my mother and Rick had maintained and set up, and connected them to other trails that continue to the south, that is Peterborough land. My family has been here on the farm continuously since 1905. Somebody from the family's been here. And I know that that alone doesn't allow me the discretionary easement, but I guess my purpose of it is that the two barn complexes have a lot of history in Peterborough, and my family's history is sort of wrapped up in it. We have the land around it. There's about 7 lots that are connected to these barn complexes that are currently in current easements through the Forestry Service and several other, including the town of Peterborough, easement groups. And the siblings and I own it in trust. My sister Sophie, my brother Duncan, and my other sister Corinna. We own it in trust, and we're all of like mind, and we have no intention of selling or subdividing it. But it is a challenge, of course, keeping up with maintenance and everything else. We're sort of, I guess you'd call land rich and cash poor, and I have returned to the property 4 years ago with my wife and my son Ulysses, who's in school in Boston, and I've been in charge of maintaining it and trying to figure out how to preserve it for future generations. So the discretionary easement is a piece of it because it lessens our tax burden, although it increases on the town and others, and I guess that's why we're here, to give others the chance to say, to challenge it. But I think it adds to the character of the region. I think that barns have historic uses within the region, although New Hampshire is no longer an agricultural powerhouse. It's tied up with New Hampshire's agricultural history, and I think they stand sentinel to that. People who frequent it, we have lots of people who come up and they park in the parking lot at 140. It's a very large industrial sort of, it's a large parking area. People park there and walk the trails or walk their dog. And people use it for turning around. The city uses it sometimes when they're bringing a plow through to back into there. It's just kind of like we have a sort of free use sort of policy on it. There's not a bunch of fences up or no trespass. Of course, we couldn't with our current use easement, but I'm just saying it's a very come one, come all kind of environment up there. And I'm asking for the discretionary easement because it would ease our tax burden and allow us to keep doing what we've been doing up there, which is essentially preserve what we think is an essential piece of Peterborough's agricultural history. And I think that's all for me.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I do. Ian, hi, I'm Bill Kennedy.
Hi, Bill.
I actually lived in the dairy when we first moved to Peterborough.
That's my earliest memory of Peterborough is living in the dairy with Mary.
There you go. I have very fond memories. And I understand our Justine had lived in the dairy at one point. So it's a popular place. My question is, are you still renting the house and the dairy and so on?
The house at the top of the hill where Rick and Duffy built their home is not rented. That's where my wife and I stay where siblings visit. The dairy is still rented, as it's always been, and yeah, the dairy is still rented.
Okay. And I know at one point you were using the property for events?
Yeah, we have an event space permit for the 145 barn that we try to offset some of the costs with, correct?
It's beautiful, brother.
Yeah, yeah. I always wish that the roof fell in 72 and they replaced it, but it's getting old enough now from 72 that it looks old again up top when you look up.
Don't we all? Anyway. Thanks.
Ian, Tyler Ward here. I appreciate what you had to say earlier when you referenced you're coming for this easement and was willing to entertain people that may be against it or have concern about it. It doesn't seem like there's anybody in the audience here that's shown up to debate this or block it in any way. Bonnie, do you have any questions?
Just only if there's additional information that we should be aware of.
Doug, yeah, Doug from the
I
Heritage
think the
Commission.
only additional information is that, I'm sorry to interrupt, is it okay if I answer that?
Yeah, sure, you go ahead.
I think the only additional information is that Sam Rouse, who has Wagyu cows, rents some of the fields that are connected, and so there's a barn behind the barn complex, a newer barn that is not, doesn't have any historical significance or anything that Mr. Holmes had built with some grant from the state of New Hampshire. So he uses that barn, but we rent him fields. So there is other things happening there, but he just uses, Sam just uses the fields for his cows, which he brings in seasonally. So that's the only other sort of operation that's happening there, and it doesn't use the historic structure, and it doesn't obstruct any, usage for community or anything else.
That's good. That's good information. Doug Ward, Chair of the Heritage Commission,
Yes.
has some.
Bonnie, there's a checklist to go with an easement. Have you gone through that checklist on these properties?
Oh, it was included in the packet.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's there, but there's also a checklist for a site visit
Percentages.
as well.
Right,
Right.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, the site visit's pending, I guess, based on what the group chooses to do. Yeah, I went over the checklist and I got good instruction both from my brother and from Gretchen, and tried to answer the checklist and do the best I could with what I knew and what we already had gathered.
but can you say more about the checklist?
The checklist has a criteria
Yeah.
that you base the easement upon. So I'm wondering if we checked all those boxes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Let me. I have it right here. If I could, I'm pulling up my easement application here.
Now we have, let me just interject there, Ian. We did have a similar situation where renewal was coming up on Middle Hancock Road, and we did a site visit, we had the checklist, and we went down and we've yet to do that. We just received this information on Thursday. There was not time to schedule a site visit. Certainly we can.
It's not appropriate to schedule a site visit before you open the public hearing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't clear, that's helpful, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, because I wasn't clear when we did that assessment, and you were there as well, the checklist, that this is the exact same, it's not. That was my question, whether this proposed easement, it seemed like it was different
Right.
than when we were considering the barn preservation exemption.
Okay.
So I think, to me, I'm not
And that's where I
clear.
was a little confused too. Gretchen, can you explain to us the,
As part of the application process and the narrative form, there is a template or a checklist of sorts of information for the applicant to fill out in their own words why this property is eligible to be considered. And then, so that's a separate, that's at the application portion. Once we, like Nicole mentioned, once we get past this phase, then we schedule a site visit, and then there is a percent criteria checklist, because you need to determine of the 25% to 75% by law that you can consider for the easement. You get that number based on how it fits in the criteria. But that checklist is filled out at the site visit. And there's 2 applications in this case. So one is up for renewal, one has not been eligible for renewal since 2014. So one will need to be looked at probably more closely.
So,
Yeah, I think some of the confusion is because 140, when the Holmeses lived there, was being used as an agricultural enterprise in which they were generating revenue from, and I think that it was, you know, they had a farm store there and did whatever else they did there, and so now it's no longer being rented in that way and used in that way, and so when I got the application from Gretchen, I tried my best just to follow through the list of things I saw in the application, you know, explain why I feel that it follows the guidelines of the discretionary easement. And so some of the confusion might be that I also included 140 Four Winds, which is across the street from 145. But I think if you have the opportunity to read my application, it will be crystal clear and you'll be a better chance of making your decision.
Gretchen, can you clarify the checklist and the 25 to 75% the criteria? Is that the same criteria that we use for the preservation burn?
It is.
It's the same, okay.
It's that multi-page, like
Yes, it's the
3-page
same. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, yes, we'll have to do that.
Sure.
for each
each
application.
Yes.
Sure.
Great, okay, so that's good. So we got that cleared up. We're not gonna make a decision tonight.
No.
We're gonna, of course, set up, yeah, we're gonna set up this, this site visit.
Gretchen, will you be able to facilitate the site visit with
Oh, of
the
course.
Select Board Heritage Commission?
Of course, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great.
Quite a quick
Yeah.
question, Rick Lesser. Just what are the tax implications if this easement goes through? Can anybody talk to the dollars?
Great question, you just saw the slide.
Yeah, we just had it up there.
I didn't quite follow what was going on there. If you
So
just
it's
go through that quickly.
right
So
here.
this is the property, this is 140, this is the property that expired. And this currently is only outbuildings. There's no, so it's considered vacant land with outbuildings, there's no livable space on there. And then at the 100%, 50, 75%, and so on, with the tax rate of the 2235, the portion of the barn value and the land that it lives upon to be considered, it's the tax dollars lost at those percentages for that property. And then there's a second letter for the 145. And that's a significantly larger percent reduction because it has, it has the, more livability. It's considered a farmhouse with the barns.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're connected, correct, yeah.
So roughly $1,800 here on this.
On this
parcel.
property, that's
If-
correct.
If it's 100% qualified, sure. And then
And
the
so-
other one here is.
Right. So this one has a greater tax implication because it's currently valued higher because it actually has a residence along with the building.
Right. And so when we had the recent one, 6 months ago or whatever, Gretchen was there, very helpful with the information on how we should base our, our percentage and what's actually legal and what passes, what doesn't, so, great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great, thanks for asking that, Rick.
That's right, Barney, you mentioned that, right?
And we collectively, us with the Heritage Commission, all of us, the select board members, the Heritage Commission, went through it point by point and scored it.
Right. And whereas if we did do the 100% of both parcels, we're looking at around $12,000. But this parcel is also connected, part of lots of conservation land that I know many, many townspeople take advantage of. So that's something to consider, and we'll definitely talk about that when we go out on the site visit.
It will be much more helpful when you can put your eyes.
I don't want to be a bleeding heart about it, but I appreciate that point. We are in a great position. I feel very fortunate for what my mother and family built. I have no complaints. I love the town of Peterborough, and I also appreciate being acknowledged for the open land that we try to keep. That's our goal. It was our mother's goal, and we're very much dedicated to it.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. All right, anybody else have any other questions? Should we set a date now, or we'll get back, we'll circle back?
I'll be in touch. I'd like to have a representative from Apple Land to be able to be present if possible.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's essential. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well,
I
thanks.
can be myself or my brother. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Ian. You've got great information, and it helped us a lot, so.
Yeah, thank you, everyone, and I encourage you to read the packet. It's actually got some interesting information. It was fun to research and fun to pull together from different family members, and it's probably stuff that you all know, but there's some funny insider baseball, too.
Yeah, it was fascinating, and yeah. So will that be on?
It's already on our website.
Okay, great. So anybody listening to this or looks back, they can read all that stuff, because it really is interesting. It's, from a Heritage Commission point of view, it's like the gold star in the history of the town, so I might be a little biased there. And
I guess some of the Burnett's still live in town. I was talking to one the other day, so it's pretty fun to research it and talk to people about it.
So before you go, Ian, I've got one more anecdote. When we first moved onto the property in the mid-'80s, there was a hand-painted sign down at the bottom of Four Winds Road. It didn't have a regular sign, it had a hand-painted sign, and the D in Four Winds looked like an O, so it was, we would laugh all the time, Four Winos Road.
Well, there's been plenty of equally wacky things taking place since then, so.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time, and Gretchen will be in touch for scheduling this. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
thanks a lot.
Talk to you soon, Ian. Bye-bye.
Okay, should I move to close the public session?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
All those in favor? Aye. That's great.
We got a few minutes before.
We have less than 8 minutes. We could have a moment of silence. We can close the public hearing. People can use the restroom. I mean,
We get going.
We
early.
could- we could approve minutes.
You could,
We can approve minutes.
But just in case someone's going to show up.
Yeah.
for the-
True.
yeah, let's approve the minutes then.
Nicole, you want to have that room conversation?
We'll have
It would be fun to do a
a...
site visit. I've always wanted to go into that, so.
This is just,
Yes,
yeah.
I'm only just maybe we can get this.
Oh, the actual photograph and stuff?
But I have to do it before you, so. Yeah, we'll really need to depend on if it's muddy. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm gonna go. Right, but they're not asking for the whole property. They're They own a lot of great, a lot of their land went to conservation. And there are some great trails there. Of course, there are quite a few.
The big we're going to have to either support it in their budget here.
Well, you get in there from Old
I think,
Old Dublin Road.
hopefully not, maybe, since it's not a money.
It's not a money.
We'll see.
So
Well, that's just kind of around.
I believe
So when do you get that? You're just looking at the board, I can't call.
That's the last time we heard
So
about
we should talk about you getting an absentee.
And then does everything?
This is where we go next. That we have decided, whatever, there are any large corporations,
Then we have the town meeting.
The meeting's here. Like last year, I think we.
That's what that's when you're. Right. You're talking about tonight, I think, right?
That's right.
Okay, that's
Yeah, that's right.
There was something in the summer about it.
Yeah, so hopefully we have that tonight, right?
Some award.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I can change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not elected. So it was one of the signatories.
No, I won't do that. Next 2 weeks.
So the fifth is better. I get to look at it.
Oh, no, I gotta, oh,
We'll call it Chris, I think, sure.
Sure. Yeah, that was after.
You know, that honors, you know,
Okay.
This is something else.
well, I mean, the letter wouldn't be mailed.
Okay.
yeah, still got it.
No, you probably won't.
Yeah, I think you're
It's already gone.
Yeah, that's, oh yeah, no, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a small house, I don't know if you've ever seen where it's from. It's really kind Yeah, fellas, so we got this year, so we're working fine.
I'm gonna do it all the way. I just wanted
It's really, you know, somebody bought that house. He didn't want to convert it. It was a bachelor.
Okay, just get it. Yeah, got it. Except there's 3 cities. How are you? Oh, yeah.
And those buses run earlier and later as well.
Of course, we have to get. I was trying to be paperless, but you have.
I'm sorry, but these are hot off the presses,
Changed.
just modified today.
These numbers are changed. What we have in charge.
Yes,
you did.
Today.
You'll see it in the minutes.
Oh, yeah, this should be.
Petitions.
You're welcome to. It's not working today. How are you? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm literally hot off the presses. Tanya's still in there.
She already gave me mine.
Oh, you have.
We met in the hall.
Oh, okay, I got it.
We have to Thank you very much.
We have so much for you to look at tonight. Yeah, we're doing our best.
I'll put this over by yourself.
Yes, my
This
glasses
will
are
be the last thing we look at, so.
I'm over here.
And I don't think we're gonna look at it too much.
Down in the back there.
I'll get them, thank you.
Oh, you should hold it here, your arm here.
Notes, exactly. Okay, she has, you don't need it right now, right?
This is a very rough.
All right, I'll leave it right here.
draft.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, you know,
Perfect.
gives you something to look at and follow along with.
Well, thank you.
How are you?
When else comes to follow along, it'll be incredibly rough.
Sure.
Well, these look familiar.
Thank you so much.
But I was curious about turn on there.
I know there's a whole lot of edits we still have to make for this little work.
Not only
Like seconds before I walk out.
You get sick,
So, the state law was recently passed.
I'm gonna need glasses with a stronger prescription. Yes, it's
We were awakened to not knowing anything about some budgets and some events. I was going to fight to run out of the market.
But I can certainly, companies are running a time right now.
I have to take one of my own files. No. I just wanted to.
Hey, it's 5:30. Who's ready to get going?
Let's do it.
All right, this is the portion where we hear what's been going on for the last couple months. I'm going to hand the meeting over to Rick Lester, Chair of the Budget Committee, to introduce the Budget Committee, and then run that section.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, Rick.
So the budget committee, I think we got everybody here. I see Don Parker's in the back there, and then front row, Tony Pascal, Dan Gross, Dave Osmond, and then Dick Reynolds, to my right, my far right, Mary Clark, Al Lenos, Paul Nossi. So welcome, everybody. Can we do the minutes really fast? Maybe approve it before we get going? If we have some minutes from the select board and the budget, everybody get a chance to look at those? Any questions about those before we approve them?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All those in favor? Opposed? Yeah. Okay, so I think maybe I'll just turn it over to Nicole
Sure.
and lead us through what you're going to lead us through.
All right, so this is just the overview of everything we've been talking about for the last 6 weeks or so. As you recall, and as we've stated repeatedly, the goal going into this year was a 0% increase in the net raise to appropriate, net to raise and appropriate. That includes all capital improvement plan items, special warrant articles, and the operating budget. So it's just run somewhat modified from the first time you saw this slide. So these are the cost drivers in our proposed total budget. Health insurance premiums are up 7.5%, workers' compensation is up 14%, and property and liability is up 9% from our current budget. Electricity, we are now budgeting, and the budget that you have just been handed includes an 18.5 cent per kilowatt hour supply cost. That does not include the distribution cost that Eversource tax on.
And did that stay the same between the versions?
No, that's up. This is
That's what I
increased.
showed you last Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this
Nicole,
is
if you can kind of
increased.
highlight any significant changes as you go through this, please.
Yeah, that is a significant change. So electricity is a significant change. The rest of them really are not terribly significant changes. There's been some adjustments to heating oil, propane, gasoline, and diesel based on what are today's rates or the rates on the last bills that Tanya processed. So those are reflective of our current pricing. Wood pellets is a contract, so that has not changed, nor has the cost of living increases that we worked in, nor the retirements. Any questions before we move off of this?
I know that Lily uses kind of an historical look at the utility prices, but I know, personally, if I go to the gas station, right now it's $2.84. Is there any way to kind of reconcile those differences, or am I thinking of that wrong? The fact that gas for residents in town is very cheap.
The pricing is the price over rack that we pay for gas and diesel. as well as the propane and oil and kerosene. Those items are not under any pre-buy agreements, and the price that you see at a gas station is going to be what they paid the day they bought it, plus whatever rack they want to make on that. So it really depends on what day you're buying it. Those commodities, because they're traded on the open market, fluctuate incredibly, and is based off of when we are receiving the product for delivery. And we can't change the dates based off of pricing, because it's based off of need for the product in the tanks. I will say this, there have been no spikes and drops in any of this pricing since we started tracking it for the budget in October. It has only been creeping up.
Is it cheaper to buy as you need it as opposed to a pre-buy? Has anybody ever looked into that?
Not in the last 5 years has a pre-buy contract been attempted. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what may have been attempted prior to.
Sure, we used to do pre-buys. There was a cooperative that included Conval School District, so it was a fairly large group, multiple towns. The person who was overseeing that pre-buy program discontinued it, and no one has picked it up since then. And without that kind of volume, we weren't able to get the same kind of pricing that we were able to get with the much larger group.
Is it something that can be pursued as far as maybe forming another,
Collaborative,
yeah, cooperative?
hypothetically, but someone needs to oversee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the overall, from what we've been working on, total budget including all funds. We were at 20.752 and now we're 20.9. That's about 148,000 up. And I'm
If you
just
give us the
wondering-
opportunity to go through all of
You'll-
this
you'll
stuff.
show us that?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. That's why I
Great.
handed out
Okay.
new budgets.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm just doing a quick overview, and
Okay.
then Lily's going to walk us through
Okay.
where the various changes are.
Thank you.
So, moving on here, again, this is mostly what you've seen in the past, but it's been updated to reflect current numbers. So there have been a few reductions, namely the ambulance diesel line that was reduced by taking a look back only at the usage since the reduction in the interfacility transfer program a couple of years ago. And also Public Works General Services rental and leases. We moved the sign rental cost that was miscoded out of the operating budget, and that reduced the estimated expenditures. So, and then increases, of course, is electricity, and that came across the board. And Lily, if you want to start. Okay, never mind.
She was printing more reports.
Okay. All right, and then I guess I'll just skip ahead a little bit and talk about facility. All right, Lily, do you want to walk through the general fund before we move on, or?
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
So I handed out updated budgets for, they were warm when I handed them to you. They were truly just finished and printed. And to make it easy to identify where changes were made, you can quickly identify them because they are highlighted in green in the cell where the changes were made. So the first page that you'll see changes is, I believe, page 13, because that's where you start getting into buildings and vehicles in those departments. Those first 12 pages are departments that don't have vehicle or
Page
building.
10. Page 10, recreation.
Mine is page 13.
On yours?
As far as,
Well, you're printed on a smaller paper, so it looks like you. So,
And whether up or down was highlighted in green, is that correct?
So there were 2 reductions that we made that were identified during the process. The diesel budget for ambulance was dropped because the historical usage went back to a time when transfers were a big part of the business, and since it's not a big part of the business, we looked at a more clipped period of time to capture average amount of diesel needed for ambulance. And the other budget that was cut was rentals and leases in the general services budget. The cut was for the spending on that huge road sign that tells you where construction is happening and that sort of thing. That cost has been moved into spending out of the roadways capital reserve fund and not in the general fund budget. All of the other items are increases. The increases are to the gas, the diesel, the electricity, oil, and propane lines. There's also increases to the salary and benefits line in ambulance due to increases in salary that came in this morning. So that's how careful we're trying to be with such a tight budget to make sure that anything that is known is budgeted for. So your so the overall impact to the raise and appropriate is, instead of a, what was the original? What was it, $419 less?
Yes.
Now it's $3,199 more than last year's raise and appropriate.
Well, just on the general fund, on the
Well,
gross budget.
gross budget of all warrant articles, general fund,
Yeah.
water, sewer, everything. So,
That's just still 0.03%, essentially.
yes, I'm gonna call that zero.
I want to-
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did you come up with the, what is it, 18.7 cents?
Somebody reached out to somebody on the Community Power Committee, and Bruce Tucker came in last Thursday to help look at the models of electricity historical usage going back 4 years, but also to come up with a appropriate number that could capture what might be increased in future community power rates for creation of the electricity, but also he remarked at the fact that Eversource delivery rates continue to increase constantly. So I just put a 4-cent increaser to the overall kilowatts, not knowing, is it going to be Eversource delivery? Is it going to be community power, different rate models? But every penny that you increase to our cost per kilowatt is an $11,000 increase to the budget. So 4 cents increased it by $44,000.
Yeah, and I think he was also wanting to make sure that we were capturing the main charges.
Yes.
But I don't know that he completely recommended the team. I think he was really wanting to make sure that we were capturing the increase in delivery and looking at the demand. Those were sort of the 2 big things that he wanted to make sure were being looked
But
at.
those are significant charges.
They are. So I don't know how you feel about the kilowatt level, but I think it's what you originally said perhaps we should go with.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And the other thing to keep in mind with your electricity budgets is that we have 2 very large new facilities coming online next year. The fire station, which will be using significantly more electricity than the current facility does. and Cold Stone Springs as well. So those are also impacting our overall numbers for electricity raised and appropriate. Yes.
I think we reviewed it, but what is the underlying decision, what was the underlying decision to pick this particular rate? Because we had the choice of the mix of fuels, or was that a decision made by the select board
Yes.
to pick that particular rate to coincide with the wishes of the voters or the wishes of the town? Is that
Correct.
pretty much how that worked? Or I sort of vaguely remember, I was here.
Yep.
That was
but I
4 or
just
5
wanted to
weeks ago.
quickly
Yep, yep,
understand that.
yep, that was it. And it's something that has to be done every 6 months, so will be reviewed.
So we chose to continue that this time, certainly, that theme of staying with the most environmentally.
We did not.
No.
So that was part of
We
my
chose one of the
question.
least environmental.
But the greatest impact on the town.
At least
Okay, that's where I was sort of, my brain was swimming around that. Okay. All right.
So if you wanted to talk about any specific gas or diesel line, I'm happy to do that.
So they all went up proportionally across the board, whatever changes you made to those
Yes.
different utilities.
The one question I do have, Lily, is in the recreation building grounds pool. It looks like the electricity went down from 32, I'm just not sure.
What page are you on that?
It's down from the current year's budget, but it is up from last year's expenditure.
I guess I'm
The-
looking at the 30,
Page 13,
page 13, so we were at 31,068, and now we're at 25,455. I was surprised to see it go in that direction.
interesting.
You see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. I'll have to look back at the document itself to make sure if I may have caught a formula error in the analysis before plugging it in. I'll have to look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
Lily, another clarification, if I
Yes.
could, on library.
Yep.
We are on page 17.
Okay.
I don't think I see any changes in either the electricity or the heating fuel
There wouldn't.
items for the proposed budget.
There wouldn't be on the library because they've got a power purchase agreement for their electricity, so it's separate.
Exactly. It was not impacted by the 4-cent increase per kilowatt. They have a very different model of how they are built.
And they also have their own wood chip system, so which is also separate.
Thank you.
Could you also check the electricity line on recreation revolving operations? It's also, it looks like it went down. I'm on 14. You see that? It's not a lot. I'm guessing both.
Yeah, they're both like that.
Is it
Public
both?
able to ask a question? Public able to ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Just say your name, please.
Oh, my name's Chris Anderson. Sorry. Just curious if, because this is an estimate of what the rate will be, just curious what happens when it comes in less than that? What happens with those funds that are budgeted otherwise?
If they're not spent, at the end of the year, anything that is not spent from our expenditure budget sunsets to fund balance, and fund balance is used to offset the amount to raise and appropriate. There's 3 ways to spend that money. The most popular way is to use fund balance when setting tax rate to lower the overall amount
But we're also going to talk about the second
Yeah.
way in just a little bit.
In just a little bit, we can use them for warrant articles.
And, sorry, just
Yeah, go
another
ahead.
point. I was involved with the placement of the megawatt solar array on the wastewater treatment plant 10 years ago. And I see there's funding, I mean, there's a pilot, there was a 8-cent PPA rate associated with that, with a fixed escalator. Is that continue to be a big
Is it-
savings for the town? Because it's should be
Yes.
at 10 years, it's a great decrease to what these rates are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are revenues listed in the revenue budget.
Associated with that savings, or? Actually,
So the savings aren't exactly called out in the budget. It's just if we were to look at the gross usage at the wastewater treatment plant in particular, but also the savings are really in the gross usage of the wastewater treatment plant behind the meter. So the biggest amount of savings there is obviously not having a delivery charge.
Right.
Yeah, so that's huge. But you don't budget for what you save, you're just
Right.
budgeting for what you spend. So it doesn't really show up here, but it is substantial, absolutely. I mean, the wastewater treatment plant's an enormous consumer of electricity.
Right, but I think it actually, the system actually delivered even more power than the wastewater treatment plant. It actually had enough power to power the fire station and the townhouse.
So we do still net meter out, and you see those savings. It's just a little bit complicated because they don't show up as a straight savings. We still have to buy electricity from Eversource. Even at the wastewater treatment plant, because the solar array's not operational at night, we still have to buy electricity at the treatment plant from Eversource.
So that sort of like, these numbers sort of have accounted for 18 cents for the portion you still need to buy. Like there's some number of kilowatt hours here that you're still purchasing at night, and so those
Yes.
are, you're forecasting an 18
Yes.
cent payment for those.
Yes, yeah.
For the rest of
Yeah, I mean, as far as the net metering program goes, we save a couple of cents per kilowatt hour on average at the various buildings, just on this.
Just
on the
because of
overall-
that.
Just because of that, yeah.
And I mean, I'm also in the solar business still, and so, you know, we saw a 20% increase in rates in 2026, but our forecast curves are showing it flattening actually over the next 5 years. So in terms of where rates are going to be, just for the board, we're showing that there was this big increase, but we're showing this level's flattening. So,
You put that in writing for the town, please?
Yeah.
what, another megawatt solar array?
Just like that word flat.
Speaking of revenues,
One more question on expenditures before we get to that, Bill. The only other thing I see besides gas and electric is on the dispatch services for the police.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Yes, that came in today, too.
I wanted to talk about
Yes.
that. So it's, there is an ongoing maintenance cost to the new system, approximately $10,000 a year, so that's also been added into the police budget. We just learned about that very recently when we got the updated quotes.
It's an increase to the dispatch expenditure line. Thank you for noticing that, Rick. That happened at approximately 4 o'clock today.
Now maybe we can move to your revenues, Bill.
well, I just wondered, were there any adjustments to our revenue?
The only revenue adjustments that have been made since the sheets have been handed out are to the water and sewer fees to be collected. What has historically been provided is you have an exact match of revenues to the expenditures because you because they're part of the raise and appropriate figure in our warrant article. But I wanted to reflect to everybody what we can expect the changes to the water sewer rates will generate in revenues. So this revenue paid for water sewer is, you can put the dollar. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mayor. So I had to extrapolate, imagining that the summer bill could be similar to what this past year's was, and that the fall bill that came out, that was billed, the last day to pay for that bill was today. I'm imagining that that will be a similar bill for the next 2 quarters. So those are the numbers that are that were plugged in here. So use charges for water, I've changed to $1,748,211, and for sewer, $1,988,912.
So it's quite a bit higher than what we had. Yeah.
Yes, but those numbers, as I said, were modified so that the fees and other dollar amounts added up to exactly the amount of the expenditure budget.
Yep. But just so I'm clear, the expenditure budget did not change.
In gas, diesel,
It did,
electricity, it did.
electricity, yeah,
Just
commodities.
The electricity bit.
Gas, diesel, electricity.
Okay.
I'm a little confused. Lily, I'm sorry. The page you just handed out still says updated December 18th.
I didn't change the update date, I'm sorry, I just hit print on it.
And I'm just trying to figure out how to compare that to the original budget from December 18th. I want to compare apples to apples. Is that in the revenue
So
section?
you have that document, I don't have the old budget with me.
Yes,
It's
this is
also on
on
page 8.
very.
So the
Yeah,
only
we
thing
got
that got
it.
changed
Yes.
were the usage. Right, in those two. Yep.
So we're done talking about the budget pretty much? Unless
If-
anyone
if
has
you-
other questions? Just start talking about some warrant articles?
Sure. Yep, we can move on.
Everybody else set? Move on?
All right, so CIP articles, you can see the first batch of them up on the screen here. Been no change to the pay-as-you-throw program, police fleet, DPW fleet, or roadway, capital improvements. Bridges, culverts, and dams, you'll see that we have a revenue, $42,663. This is the balance remaining in the Main Street Bridge project. As that was monies that was raised and appropriated for a bridge, it's appropriate, we believe, to move that into the Bridges, Culverts, and Dams Expendable Trust Fund. And so we'll be looking to offset some of the tax dollars that we need, tax dollars that would otherwise need to be raised for that program to continue as planned. No changes to Adams Pool, the ambulance CIP. Again, just a reminder that we estimate, Lily estimates, with some good info from the bank, that we'll have approximately $275,000 in interest from the fire station bond accrued by the end of this year, this calendar year. We would be looking to move that into the ambulance's revolving fund to offset the cost of the next ambulance, $375,000. No changes to fire equipment CIP, recreation equipment CIP. No particular changes, honestly, to the facilities and grounds CIP. It's still $375,000. It's just that we are proposing now to use the entirety of that amount towards the cost of the dispatch center. So not just police, but it would be police, fire, and the antennas all at once. So no change in the amount to raise and appropriate there, and if you would like to ask any questions about that, it's a great time to do so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will that be completed this year, in 27?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
Should-
Yes, well, it should be.
When we were looking at that before, the cost was only about $325.
Yep,
So are we saying that the cost has increased now?
because we're adding in the equipment necessary to support fire dispatching as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna add that piece to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions about that, or?
No, that's it.
On the fire bond, when do we have to start paying on the bond?
Last year.
You're already paying.
Oh, already paid.
Oh, it's been paid,
So-
yeah.
So we've also, we have approval of that interest as well.
You'll be happy to know the payment goes down every year from here on out.
If I can ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Chris Anderson again. From the meeting last week, I think it was said there was like a $1.8 million fund balance. Is that right? Is that the number we're pulling this 375 from?
So, yes.
No.
It's not 1.8 million.
The current fund
interest,
balance? No, the fund
The
balance.
bond, the fund balance
The fund
for
balance.
for the facilities and grounds, CIP, and all the other
I know,
things.
sorry, what is fund balance?
So,
What I just explained, when you don't spend your full budget that we've raised and appropriated,
Yeah.
that money then goes to fund balance
Yeah.
and sits there until an action of either the Board of Selectmen when setting tax rate or an action of town meeting to use the money of unassigned fund balance to pay for a special warrant article. So if you were to do it this way, those two warrant articles specifying, actually, they're on the other page. I'll say, okay, so the one at the bottom of the 375, the warrant article will read, to raise and appropriate $375,000, no amount to come from taxation, as the 375 will be coming from unassigned fund balance.
From the prior year?
from prior years.
Prior
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that 1.8
We have no
number-
obligation
Wasn't the
to,
1.8 number right?
I think that's a fairly accurate number, the 1.8 that we're sitting at right now.
1.19 is what it was.
the balance of the,
Fund balance.
I see what you're saying. Now I see where you're. Yes. So if all of the warrant articles using fund balance are approved, it would bring our fund balance to, and not knowing how much is going to be added to fund balance at the end of this fiscal year,
Yep.
it would bring our fund balance to approximately $1 million.
But it is currently
So it's
1.8.
1.8, so we have 375 a year, we'll see some more.
There's a couple more that are
That'll
gonna-
bring it down to 1.
Exactly.
And it's also used for unanticipated significant expenses that they've
Right.
had to go
That's
into fund
the third.
balance. in the past.
That's the third way to use it, yeah.
I think there was a, at the end of the meeting, there was a discussion around a renewable energy study by Bonnie, I believe, or something, and then, but then I was a little confused because then Nicole, you said, I'd like to use that for radios, and maybe that's where this 50,000 is here.
That was the building, so there were two projects that were anticipated for the facility and grounds capital plan. The expendable trust fund is the fund that collects the money to be used for the projects in the capital plan. So there were two projects. The one was the dispatch center upgrade, and the second one was to start setting aside money to be able to do architectural upgrade, whatnot, building use studies in the future.
So maybe look at adding renewable energy to the buildings as part of that.
Well, not exactly, because that's actually another fund that we're going to talk about in a minute. But this is more to do with building use, building renovations, that sort of thing.
The
I
physical
think that-
structures more than.
I see.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I still think it's a great thing, and it's something I've been advocating for years, but I think this project, because we're upgrading the police dispatch center this year, it's really important to tie in the fire dispatch upgrades as well, so that we're able to just maximize our savings by doing both projects at the same time, not having to go back and repurchase equipment in the future because we want to add fire and ambulance dispatching.
And so you asked for a 1-year pause on that initiative.
Just a 1-year pause, exactly, yeah, and I would be thrilled to revisit it in the future, because I think it's something I've been, again, advocating for. I didn't want to break the 0% raise and appropriate goal, so, with that project, so, had to make some accommodation there.
So this,
Go ahead.
yeah, thank you. just so I'm clear on that one, what are you anticipating? You may have said it, I'm just trying to,
Yes.
there's a lot new here.
Yeah. No,
So-
absolutely.
So how much are you anticipating incrementally for the fire part of the dispatch?
We just have it broken out.
Did you have those sheets?
I do have the sheets. It's a little hard for me to read these sheets. You read them way better than I do. I had to
Blah, blah,
ask,
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, I had to ask Chief to come in and translate these for me today.
It's hidden in a couple places, so that's no matter what. So this is ours. So for our first phase, it's around $40,000. So the initial price that you had from Allcom for PD alone for their console and infrastructure within their building was about $90,000. We're now up to $130,000, call it $400.
Okay, so that, just so I'm clear, so the 90,000, for those of you that were on the capital budgeting, we had that in the capital budget.
Correct.
So now you're saying an additional 40?
40,000 would give the money that's required to incorporate the equipment within the police station to accommodate talking to the fire department and doing that. The second part, which is because you had a lot more than that in there, is their equipment that would go at the hospital and at the police station. That has not changed. That's still the same for them.
That's still in the capital budget?
That's still in the capital budget, yeah.
So the incremental is 40?
Is that 40,000, yeah.
Okay,
For the
and
first
that-
phase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Nicole, that is the 40,000 you're talking about to not use for the building?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you say accommodate, Chief, does that mean it's actually going to be happening? or
Yes.
just have the
Well, no. So we are not in a position, and I think Nicole mentioned at my meeting or the police department meeting, probably at least 3 to 4 years out for actually taking that over completely. But what it does is it ensures that we have the equipment and infrastructure in place for that. But in the interim, what it does is it gives us a place to have consolidated communications for any other events that go on, whether it's something as mild as a Children of the Arts in coordination or something as serious as, an ice storm, a flood, anything else like that. It gives us a place to be able to really coordinate that communication, which now is totally lacking in this community.
Yeah, so Rick, I'm thinking that we'll have to have another very big analysis done, pro-con in the right moment down the road for actually taking on
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely, yes. No
Yeah.
question
fire,
about it.
actual fire dispatching.
Yeah, we're not ready to do that yet,
Right.
that's for sure. But this at least sets a stage for us to be able to make
Yeah.
a pro decision on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, no changes to GIS CIP request. So moving on to the next page, it's where the new stuff comes in. So you had asked Lily in particular to explore a couple of options for health and dental expendable trust fund and the accrued benefits liability expendable trust fund. Health and dental expendable trust fund, $25,000. That's a comfortable seeding of the fund. Again, that would also come from the unreserved fund balance. And accrued benefits liability expendable trust fund, $100,000. And Lily, you got that from looking at reports that were required.
So every year I have to identify the total liability to the town if everybody walked out the door and had to be paid their sick and vacation payouts. So I took that, updated it for current salaries, and sorted it by length of service here, and identified that the top amount of people that could walk out the door would cost, if they did, would cost $250,000 next year to pay out. Now, not all those people are going to do that, but a fair number of people do every year. As I mentioned in my presentation last week, it's 9 people that leave service. Not all of them are retirement age, but all of them do have vacation on the books, and it is expensive when somebody says, I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice right after they got their vacation accruals. So people usually are thoughtful to themselves in when they are timing that, but not necessarily thoughtful to how much it would be of a benefit to be able to budget for something like that. And with this budget being so incredibly tight, this would really give a much-needed buffer. In years past, we have found areas to not spend in order to make these mandatory payouts. So I think that would be a very good number to start with and see how that plays out. The $25,000 for the health and dental, I was imagining, based off of the $217,000 experience we had this year, that if we put that amount of money in this fund every year for 9 to 10 years, and hope to have no experience in those 9 to 10 years, that would be a very good set-aside protection for not having to have an emergency spending of fund balance.
So the 100K in here, Lily, is a jumping off point
Yes,
of
and
an
see,
accrual that hasn't existed before, right?
these would be brand new
And then the
expendable
25K would be a proposed
annual for
incremental
10
each year
years.
thereafter.
Exactly.
Assuming something.
Not forever,
But this therefore doesn't include the two chiefs.
No, it doesn't.
That's already budgeted.
That's in this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Mary, this is what you were.
Right.
this
Yes,
what
there
you
is
were
one other
asking
police
about.
officer.
In terms of data driven.
Some data
Yep,
driven.
yep.
Sensitive.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No, that makes sense.
yeah, and thank you for the question.
Now, did you consider maybe combining both of those?
You can't.
You cannot.
You have to keep them separate? Yeah, I thought that would just give more flexibility if you did more.
Oh, I asked.
money.
I asked.
And that's like a state restriction or something, or just?
There are two different RSAs
Yep.
that govern those types of expendable trust funds. So thank you, Dan, for that idea.
Yeah, exactly. And then, oh, go ahead.
So this would be 125,000 taken from the 1.8 million if those warrant articles.
If they pass, yes. And at the end of the day, with what is projected currently based off of starting the year with a $2 million fund balance, we would still have over $1 million in fund balance, and that does not include how much we will experience in underspending the current year's budget. It also includes overcollection of revenues. I'm sorry, Tyler.
Two different RSAs, but the warrant shows the same RSA
That-
for both.
I am still editing. That is a very rough draft. A very rough draft.
All right, I just wanted to.
More paper to come. Other questions or comments? Todd? Sorry.
So I just had a point, just something you said about just how the town works. I'm just curious. You mentioned vacation accruals. Everyone's on not everyone.
It's based on their anniversary date of being hired.
And so on that anniversary date, they're allocated 4 weeks of vacation for the
Or
coming
2
year.
weeks, or whatever it
Whatever
is
the
that they
number is.
earn.
And that is earned for the coming year on
You have to
their-
work a whole year before you're given any vacation time.
Right, but I'm saying like, okay, so I've been here 10 years and then on my 10th year, I'm given 4 weeks vacation for the coming year and then I can quit in 2 weeks and still get 4 weeks.
You earn that for working the last
For the
year.
last year.
It is not for your next year.
Got it.
It is, you have to work that whole year to earn it. It's truly earned
It's
time.
earned-
It's not
it's
earned every month, it's
time.
earned annually.
Time in equals vacation for the coming year, but it's based on past service.
What a scam.
Yeah, and you may be getting to it, so I can wait. Were you done with this table, or are you still going through it?
I'm still going through it.
Okay,
I
I'll
got-
wait.
I got a couple of things.
Okay, I'll wait.
So the next thing, I think unless there's more questions on the first two. Okay. The next one, the next new one is the Community Power Projects Expendable Trust Fund. So the Community Power of New Hampshire collects on behalf of the town of Peterborough's Community Power Group Committee, however you want to put it, through the electricity rate. There's an adder that's put onto the town's default rate, community power default rate. That adder's been collecting for a couple of years now. It is estimated that there will be about $230,000, but could potentially be more by the time we collect it. So we want to make sure that there is enough wiggle room that we're able to collect everything and establish an expendable trust fund. Those funds can be used for projects in the community that would add to the town's energy portfolio. Green power, whether it's solar panels, battery backups, whatever. Could be used on municipal projects. Obviously, we've got a pretty big one underway. We talked a little bit about putting a solar array up on the new fire station, and we're still very interested in doing that. And these funds could go a long way towards helping that. But in order to be able to collect those monies for CPC&H, we need somewhere to put them, and so we need to establish the expendable trust fund. So you'll see that there is draft warrant article language that I'm still working on that is in the warrant. So,
On that one, how did you get to 250? So,
My conversation
Yeah,
with Bruce last Thursday was that he gave numbers that might be the balances by August. And what I said was, you don't want to underdo it. You write the warrant article to say up to $250,000.
and so by the summer, yeah, because I
Yep.
think by February, we anticipate about 180.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
The question about the fire station project, the roof is underway. Is that being prepped for the standoffs for solar and all that?
The entire building is designed around having solar, the ability to have solar, to the point of we've redesigned the physical layout of the yard to accommodate an exterior battery storage location. So everything, conduits run to that, so everything is going to be set up to accommodate solar on the building, the switchgear spaces in the building, battery storage space is available outside the building, so it's all ready to go. We just need someone to write a check.
Okay, so no new penetrations in the roof
Nope.
once it's done?
Yep, all that's being, yeah, no one's taking a drill through the brand new,
I've
Six,
seen-
you've seen it plenty of times, yes. No, it's all set for that,
Okay.
yeah, correct. You are correct, Tyler.
Has anybody ever got an estimate as far as how big a check you need to do that?
250,000.
I don't want to commit. I'm remembering somewhere around $500,000 was what they're like 470, 480 was the cost for the solar array itself and some of the related equipment inside the building. If I remember that correctly. I don't know if you have any.
I would say we're trying to understand actually
Yeah.
what current estimates would be.
Does that come with a payback number if you put that money in?
Again, going off of my memory, we were looking to be able to save about 50% of the electrical operating cost of the
Yeah.
building annually. So
That's correct.
what was about a $70-ish thousand new electric, can't remember what it was, we could just add the lines up, but it'd be about half of that is what we'd be able, that was the estimate, is to be able to save half of that based on, and we heard tonight, probably for 4 or 5 years if rates level out.
So for quick math, that sounds like that's 14 years or something.
And we may actually be able to save even more by incorporating battery storage, because you will benefit from any stored electricity during sunlight hours when you don't have the sunlight. So it actually be higher than that with battery storage.
Reduce demand charges, which can make a big difference.
But yeah, oh, huge.
And then the last two is just the transfers to expendable trust funds of taxes collected in each of the TIF districts. So that money is already very much earmarked for current projects. If there's any questions on that. Okay. So at the bottom line there, a total net to raise and appropriate, $12,337,017 in our proposed FY27 budget. Total net for FY26 is right below that, and I can do the math for you. The difference is $3,199, which again is really tiny as a percentage.
It's still up.
So it is up, but it is up by 0.03%. It is the smallest increase that the town has proposed, and I'm not even sure how long, probably ever.
I mean, honestly, the SCADA, which really shouldn't be in the operating budget.
Well, it has to be, because it's a gross operating. So that's what we're looking at, when you look at all of that, it has to be in there.
Yeah, but we can talk
Yeah.
about it more. That Seth really felt like it really shouldn't be in the operating budget.
SCADA for sewer?
Sewer and water.
There is no other place.
It's a capital.
Enterprise funds are enterprise funds. There's no
No, I
other
understand.
funding sources
No, I
for
understand.
water sewer.
Yeah, no, I understand, but because it's capital.
Yeah.
But there are no
it should come
capital
out of
reserve
the
funds or
fund.
expendable trust funds for water sewer.
But there is the funds that are currently present.
Yeah, you can always vote to overspend the budget for water and sewer. It's just not good practice to know that you're gonna vote to overspend it. It's if you know it's gonna be spent, you should put it in the budget.
Yeah, well, we can talk about it more.
Sure.
Will there be, or is there any attempt to project next year's expenses? I don't know if we've ever done that. Did we ever do that? Or the next couple of years?
So-
Based upon the sort of
No, the budget.
shaky boat we're on here.
So we've just
wants to do it for you,
estimated
right?
out
I'd like to do it.
18 months in advance with this process. I can't imagine how you do a biennial budget. I really can't. Especially not when you're trying to run margins as thin as this. I don't know how it's possible.
I guess what I'm saying is, this is great.
Yeah,
Are we gonna get a surprise next year?
I don't know.
It's not built in.
A surprise is a surprise. I mean, the unknown is unknown.
Well, I understand, but
Yeah.
everybody has to project out. The companies do projections, they're not always obviously accurate.
Well, we do that on the CIP committee, we go out for the big.
That's what I'm missing. I guess
Right.
I missed that.
Right. But it is hard to do at this level, I think.
I mean, even at the CIP, it's incredibly difficult, constantly. How many times have you seen revised ambulance, what an ambulance is going to cost, get revised, even though we thought it was going to be this 5 years ago. It certainly is not now. So it's been very difficult, it's been very difficult. But we're doing the best that we can to be as responsible with our projections as we can. Any questions on what we've presented so far? All right. That being the case, I'd like to move on to the handout that Lily gave. This fascinating looking spreadsheet here. And Lily, if you want to just walk through this with everybody.
So the request was made to do a budget to actual comparison. I took every sub-account from every departmental presented budget area that each department head oversees, and compared the budget to actual going back to FY '22. And the areas that are highlighted in yellow means that that individual sub-department overspent their budget. And in most cases, within the sub-departments that that department head oversees, they were able to accommodate the overspending in one budget with the underspending of another one of their sub-department budgets. There are 10 times since FY '22 that an entire department that a department head oversees, that whole department overspends their entire budget. Those are the areas that I highlighted the percentage in the column just to the right of each of the fiscal years. In the first year, you can see that IT overspent their budget by 24%, finance by 48%, fire and ambulance by 11%. And in those instances, all of the overspending was accommodated except for the finance department that was accommodated with the allowance to use fund balance for an emergency expenditure. We did not spend the entire amount that the DRA gave us approval to overspend. That approval was for $1,752,979. We overspent the budget that year by $1.4 million. In every other year, the areas were overspent in FY23 by information technology, the police department.
I actually think it probably makes the most sense if we actually start on the last page. We want to walk through
Right,
the last page,
yep.
because that really summarizes the whole thing.
So I made notes of the highlights of where the changes occurred. We underspent the budget overall in FY23 by $1.1 million. That $1.1 million went to fund balance. The highlights of that underspending was that there was no TIF spending of $430,000. We underspent the paving budget by $238,000, underspent the recreation salaries by $100,000, and saved $105,000 when we refinanced the debt schedules. And in that year, when we set taxes, the selectmen at that time voted to use $1,055,000, returning the fund balance immediately to the taxpayer when setting tax rate. In FY24, we came in incredibly close to what the budget was. We underspent the budget by $109,655. That is very, very close. It is very uncomfortable for somebody in my position and Nicole's position to be in. That literally represents 4 days of payroll. It is way too close. You are not allowed to overspend the bottom line unless there is an allowance to overspend by using emergency funds. You cannot overspend the budget because you did a bad job at budgeting. The only big underspending there was the fire and ambulance was underspent by $300,000. That year, the selectmen voted to return $1,414,000 in fund balance to the taxpayers when setting tax rate, because we still had a large fund balance at that time. In FY25, just this past year, we underspent the budget by $800,796. The highlights are that the $300,000 in debt payments that I had to budget for paying debt that is owed by TIFs, because the TIF warrant articles were brand new, and you don't know if it's going to pass town meeting or not, so we had to budget for them and then didn't spend them. We also underspent assessing services by $108,000, underspent ambulance by $113,000, and underspent general services by $150,000. In 2024, we returned $1,200,000 to the taxpayers in fund balance when we set tax rate.
25.
Right, which those
Yeah.
that's tax year 2024.
Yeah.
And then in tax year 2025, the vote that these 3 selectmen took together was to use $271,000 in fund balance to set tax rate. We don't know where we're at. We do know that we're tracking to overspend the budget right now. We are allowed to overspend by the amount of money that the emergency expenditure was with regards to the unexpected health insurance bill for $215,548. I am happy to answer any questions in any of this. the IT department should not be found at fault for their overspending. They're asked to do that when it looks like we're going to have enough money to be able to start their projects earlier, to take advantage of their downtime, to take advantage of better pricing, to take advantage of improved network services that we're receiving. I was the one that begged for the $85,000 project to be done when it was tracking in May that we were not going to be coming too close for FY25 spending. The network was in a situation where it would crash and fail all day long. On Mondays and Tuesdays were the worst when we were trying to run payroll and AP. It was making me completely insane. And he's like, well, that project, it's in next year's budget. We're not going to do it until October. And I was like, I will find you that money. Please start that project right now. So they are regularly asked to do that kind of thing and shouldn't be found at fault for overspending their budget. They're asked to do that every year.
This looks great, Lily. Thanks a lot for doing this.
You're welcome.
And going forward, are we be able to do something similar year to year? type of thing?
Now that it's built in, yeah,
You'll be able to
it's
do that
baked in,
fairly
it'll be a
easily.
lot easier. This was an incredible
It was a
amount
big
of,
project.
yeah, it was an incredible amount of time that I put into it.
Go ahead, Mary.
I would agree, this is terrific, very helpful. Could we also, going forward, have a line showing the remaining fund balance after the funds are returned in
Sure.
each of those?
Absolutely, I could add that, absolutely. Yep. The fund balance, as it were. You got it.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Dave.
Sorry, one more question. So you said 4 days is too tight. What, in setting this year's budget, what is the target number of buffer that you're sort of built in?
We don't have one.
We don't have a target buffer, but when it gets that close, and it was starting to be close in March, it's starting to be close now. It was close, we're overspent as of this week in the year
In
of 52
Target.
weeks in Target. And we started being overspent in January, which is when I made the payment to school care for that. Took advantage of paying a partial payment with no interest on that unexpected bill.
We know that we're going to be overspent by that $215,000. The goal is to make sure we're not overspent by any more than that known $215,000 at this point. And it's really challenging this year. I mean, we've had an incredibly difficult winter already with extended long storms.
And
snowstorms.
extreme cold. I mean,
Extreme
the amount of
cold.
money we're putting into heating ourselves.
is really high. So it's already a very tight budget. We'll go through, at some point very soon, Lily and I are going to sit down. We'll go over, where we are with our current spending. We'll go over that with the department directors and potentially put a spending freeze on any unnecessary things such as training, for instance, if it's not required by law or something, something equally or equivalently important, then we'll put a freeze on that and, any other discretionary spending until we feel like we're in a better place. But we are early in the winter. We do have some resources available to us if we need to, take
We have a
advantage
winter
of them.
ops expendable trust fund.
Yeah, if we need it, we'll dip into that. But yeah, it's been we're a little concerned.
But the budgeting process as a whole doesn't include, if we want a buffer of, you're saying we were at 0.3%.
We don't create any buffer.
There's no
No.
like,
I
we're going to just
budget
mark
for-
all categories up 3% so that we have a 3%
Nope.
buffer.
I budget for exactly who's on staff right now at their current rate with the,
With only the 3%
Mhm.
COLA and merit built in, since that's
so
the proposed COLA and merit increases for next year.
So if people leave and their exit strategy isn't budgeted for vacation and sick payout, that has to come from somewhere. It's it's all of those unexpected items when, you know, things spike beyond what we planned for with regards to commodities and the cost thereof, or the usage thereof.
Yeah.
Because what I'm using is up to a 9-year average of either gallons consumed, kilowatts used, that sort of thing. But it's, we try to be as close as possible, but, you know, sometimes some things are much higher of a cost or a usage, or you lose a bunch of highly paid staff and replace with young people. You don't know. Those are things that, and we budget for exactly what health insurance plans people are on, with not knowing if there is a marriage that's being planned that we don't know about. Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately, the $1 million that we have left in the general fund after, if these warrant articles get approved, you said you can overspend, but then you mentioned a $275,000 emergency spend. Like, there's a process where the town just, okay, we're gonna overspend, let's step into the general fund.
No, it's
Not
not
the
that
general fund,
simple.
sorry.
No, it has to be an emergency.
Yeah, it has to be an emergency. We had to go through a public hearing process. Select board had to approve of making a request to overspend the budget. Then that has to be sent up to the Department of Revenue Administration at the state level. They have to look at it and determine that, yes, this is an actual emergency, this is an unplanned expense, or not an expense that should have been planned for. And so you may use the unrestricted fund balance to make up the difference. And that was a close thing, to be quite honest. I mean, they were kind of going either way on it. We got very lucky in that they allowed it. Otherwise, we would have had to make some cuts to the existing operating budget, even though we were only a few months in at that point.
Right. Truly.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yep.
Mary?
Lily, you mentioned several weeks ago that the revenue coming in from property taxes was looking good. Is that still the case?
Yes, we are at $1,285,000 left to collect, and that includes all liens from the last 5 years. So, yeah.
Any more questions on the budget?
$3,000.
We can find it.
You know,
Pass the hat.
I'm happy, I know exactly where I would cut.
Okay.
So if you really want me to cut, I can cut the administration training budget, the staff development budget by $3,000.
I think you can knock up
But
that.
that's the select board's decision to make, because that was a goal that you had set.
But that's on top of additional staff development that's sitting in that line.
I have existing staff development, but you had asked me to put in an additional $3,000.
We just told you we wanted you to have development, so is it incremental or is it within what you had? Anyway.
My recollection of that meeting was you had asked for me to do additional, and I had asked you how much would you like me to spend. And the number that we all talked about at the end was about $3,000. So that's what I put into the budget, was for $3,000 to go towards coursework. I can cut that. It's not gonna harm the general operations of the community for me to cut that. And I'll still have staff development money to be able to send Justine or myself, to some conferences locally. So that's exactly where I would go for the
I think there's 9,000 in there.
What if you estimated your gas at a penny less?
Yeah,
than
there's
you put in there?
9,000 in there.
Instead of 324, made it 323?
Why are we splitting hairs over this? This is
I'm just saying.
this is an insanely low budget. The fact that, I'm sorry, but
We love zeros.
There's $1,000 worth of paper here today.
exactly.
If the board and the budget committee want me to cut that $3,000, that's where I'll take it from.
I vote no. Keep your 3,000.
It's just, you have 9,000 in here.
Yes,
It's a
there
lot.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I
so-
mean, conferences are really expensive. If I go to one conference, it costs about $3,000. Just in travel, hotel, and the conference fees itself. It's probably more than that. I think, this coming year, I'm skipping my spring conference because I think it's too expensive. And I don't think that it's going to be a smart thing to go to because of what we're looking at now with winter expenditures.
Sorry, one more comment. Yeah. I think that as a town resident, I think there's something to the optics of being able to say zero, I think to garner support for these when you go to the voting booth, to know that it was a zero, to be able to say that would sort of allow for the passing of the warrant articles a little more easily.
So noted, thank you.
Want to review just briefly the warrant before we review the more heavily edited version of this will be presented to you on the 3rd as well, so that you'll be able to take votes. So if you...
And before I forget, Nicole,
Yes.
we may have one or two members that aren't going to be here for the 3rd. Is there a
As long as you have a
mechanism?
quorum, that's fine.
Right, but as far as those, if they do want to vote, can they vote absentee? Do we have any kind of mechanism for that?
The chair of the budget committee has in the past allowed for email votes, so long as there wasn't a change, an amendment to the article itself, so.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So obviously, we've talked to death about the budget, but that is Article 3, which is the first one that you'll be asked to take a vote on.
Just as a reminder,
Yep.
when this is discussed at deliberative session, we go through the presentation and people see that, these are offset by by revenues for the most part, and then we end up raising just over 12 million towards it. It doesn't say it here.
Cannot say there, right. You have to, when you are voting on the budget, you have to vote on the gross appropriation, not on the net, because the revenues are not guaranteed. So. All right. Moving on.
I think that's where the budget committee presentation needs to be
Very
here.
clear.
That's-
Certainly.
It's our responsibility to tell everybody, the warrant's this, but this is how much we have to raise, and that's how the taxes are going to be impacted.
Correct.
I think that's what's in our charter
Yeah,
for that meeting.
exactly.
Certainly, but, 100, 200 people may come out to the
I
deliberative session.
understand.
6,000 or whatever.
Right.
Okay. I do have a quick question.
Sure.
There have been pie charts in the past. Are you planning to do something like that?
So I don't create the pie charts. I think in the past Lily puts them together for the budget committee.
Are you talking about the budget presentation?
Yes, the budget committee's presentation.
Carl did it last year.
I think Carl.
I helped Carl, sure. I can help whoever is doing that, whatever.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Sure, sure.
Now, we're talking about the town meeting or deliberative session. We're not talking about next, March 3rd.
Not March 3rd. I'll do the March 3rd presentation. That's, yeah.
So these are all pretty straightforward, or do we need to
They're all
talk
pretty
about the different
straightforward.
articles?
So these are just all the various capital reserve articles. Skip ahead to page 3. The last article on the page is the new health and dental expendable trust fund article. That's at $25,000. Article 16 is the new accrued benefits liability expendable trust fund. And Article 17 is the new Peterborough Community Power expendable trust fund.
For Article 13, do you think it's necessary to mention what we're already planning to spend that money on, or is that not appropriate?
Not on the warrant article. We'll describe it. I'll describe it at the deliberative session, but we won't.
need that in black and white?
No, because one of the upsides of these general trust funds is that it's relatively flexible within the parameters of how the fund was established. You know, as long as the select board spend the money on the purpose, it can be changed. So, let's say, nightmare scenario and, there's a
Right.
huge leak in the roof at the townhouse, we would be able to take some of that money to help repair it.
I just wondered if that would help the voters, the taxpayers understand a little better, even if you kind of couch it in language, tentatively planning to.
I mean, all of that is in the materials that we have available. I mean, the CIP is available, all the minutes are available.
Right.
And hopefully the newspaper will capture all that during the session. News.
In the spirit of optics, as was brought up with the 3,000, in the printing of the article, it might be useful to bolden those sentences or inserts which say no taxes raised or required to fund this.
I could put it in neon. I mean, I'll make it as bright as possible.
Well, no,
I agree. I
think
like
if
to
it-
draw attention to
If
it.
it's bold, you'll see it.
I could make that, I don't want to.
I don't want to make
I
it
don't want
silly,
to-
but
Yeah, and I also don't want to diminish where there is some taxes that need to be raised, but we have offsetting revenues too, so. And also, we have every other thing in bold and kind of disappears on the page, so.
well, these are small
Yeah, I agree.
bites.
Yeah. I agree.
Take a look at it.
I can look at it and see what it looks like. And then, we also have the Peterborough Community Power Spendable Trust Fund. I have to work on that language a little bit, but it's pretty much right there.
And then Article 20, is that kind of a, bringing that back?
I wanted to talk about that. So Article 20, the veterans tax exemption amounts, I put in some language in there in the italics to explain this one because it is a bit confusing, but a recently passed piece of legislation prohibits qualifying veterans from receiving both of the tax credits that are available. So it's one or the other, and so there would be an impact on some of our property owners we won't have a choice, we have to implement this law. And so we're taking advantage of the option to increase the credit to make sure that they don't lose out by not being able to take both anymore. There's a handful, I want to say it was less than 50 residents qualify for both.
No, this is a credit, right?
This is a credit.
It's not a reduction in the assessment.
Correct, yes,
It's
so
an
this is a
actual
straight credit.
You want to talk about Articles 21 and 22 as well?
Sure. Yep, 21. It is, again, I didn't really get a lot of time to work on this language, and I haven't brought it to the select board yet, but this is something that many communities around the state are adopting or will be adopting, have adopted already or will be looking at in March. State law now, beginning in 2031, will be allowing essentially by right in any town gambling, including Keno. Peterborough already has in its code book, it was adopted in 1972, a piece of code that allows the town, that allows bingo in town. And so because bingo is already allowed, I wrote this article not to prohibit all gambling in the town, but rather to only prohibit Keno, since Keno tends to be the backbone of any casino. That way it still would allow what has been permitted up until this point, but of course, if the select board wants to revisit that language, be fine to do so. Something, an action probably should be considered though before 2031. And I can get the board more information about that if you like. You can have that to consider, but that's not something that the budget committee has to vote on. That is something that the board will have to vote, whether or not to have it on the warrant, and if so, if to recommend or not to recommend.
Would there be a revenue stream possible from that?
Not for the town. Not
For the town?
No, I think just property taxes. I mean, there is potentially through the revenues that they receive, the difference in the commercial property tax that would be assessed, but, yeah.
So is the state saying we could set up a casino at the town level? Is that
No.
what that language is?
No, it's saying that a private person could set up a casino. So it'd be private, like you see in, Nashua's got casinos, for instance, Manchester has casinos, so.
In Article 22? So
Article-
that's all again for the select board, but...
That's by petition, we just received that today, so that is what it is.
Is there a particular group behind this petition?
There's a number of individuals.
Who is promoting this petition?
It was brought by Josephine Chu. I have a copy of it here. Bonnie, I know you're one of the signers. I didn't know if you know anything about it. More about
Yeah.
it.
So that was a project done by a McDowell Fellow from China. And he's a political performing artist. And so this is his project that he presented last week at the Mariposa Museum. And it's designed to highlight the importance of democracy by creating a blank space in which we consider, our ability to speak and free speech by taking it away for 2 minutes and let people think about it.
No, the petition period is still open, so we could potentially receive more, but this is what we've received up to this point.
It's another month or so, isn't it?
Not quite that much, but yeah, there's quite a bit of time left.
By the way, the artist's name is Bolu Shen,
Yeah.
and he has been arrested for his work in China.
Great. Any other questions or comments? Last chance.
Nope.
Okay, well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, town administration, for all this hard work. Great. We look forward to 2 weeks from now. With finished documents. Other than that, I think we're ready to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anyone second it?
I second it.
Tony, thank you. All those in favor?
Send an email.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
If we do it someday,
Hold on.